This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
You are watching Frankly Speaking Sports, live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank, and I want to thank you all very, very much for tuning in tonight. We got a show that is so packed tonight. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be centered around the Super Bowl, and in about 15 minutes, we are proud to announce we are going to have senior writer for NFL Media and on-air talent from the NFL Network, Jeff Chadiha, with us. So we're looking forward to talking to Jeff, finding out what he thinks of the Super Bowl, and also we're going to find out from him what he thinks of some of the things maybe that's going on with the Carolina Panthers. But, you guys can all see behind me right now as I point behind me. Just want to remind everybody that is not aware of it right now that we now are on Roku TV. That's right, we're on Roku TV. Go to your smart TV, go to Roku, download Northeast Streaming Sports, and you will be able to watch Frankly Speaking Sports right now. It is live. It's live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights. Like I said, I want to thank everybody so very, very much for joining us today. We're going to start off with a fun, full-packed show. Like I said, a lot of Super Bowl talk, but there's a couple things we want to get to right before we get Jeff on and talk Super Bowl. And I want to go ahead and, definitely hit on this. This is a topic that, a lot of people have been asking about, and I want to try to clarify some of it for you. And it's Eric Bieniemy. When will this guy get a head coaching job in the National Football League? For so long now we're hearing Eric Bieniemy, but at the end of the day, he interviews, and nothing comes out of the interview. And I know at first a lot of people saying, was it race? Is it race? Are people prejudiced? Some of these owners, that's just the way they are. They're prejudiced and they want a white coach. But, and I believe a lot of that does exist in the NFL. There is some racism. There is some prejudice. But this time we have to ask the question and see if it's something different, because here's a gentleman that has he's been winning in KC. He's developed Patrick Mahomes. He's been to the playoffs, the last 4 years, 2 out of the last 3 years in the Super Bowl, and yet he still struggles to get a head coaching job. He was the running back coach from 2013 to 2018 with the Chiefs. Then since 2018, he's been the offensive coordinator there. Now, there's a lot to say around there that he does not call the offensive plays, and I don't know if that hurts him or not. I really don't know if that hurts him or not, but it's going to be a good question for Jeff Chadiha when he comes on. We'll definitely ask him. But this is what I make of it all, folks. If you're consistently interviewing for a job, okay, and this doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, whether you're white, you're black, you're Asian, you're Hispanic, it doesn't matter. But if you're constantly getting turned down, you need to make sure you're getting some feedback. We need to find out, what is Eric Bieniemy doing wrong, either as a coach or in the interview process, that is not allowing him to outshine the other candidates that are applying for the job. And I don't know what the answer is, folks. Some people said he's not tough enough. I've heard different things. But at the end of the day, he wins. I don't care if you're tough. I don't care if you're not tough. I care whether you win or whether you lose. I believe, and I've been saying this now for a couple of years, he deserves a shot at a head coaching job. But what has to be figured out, and Andy Reid needs to help him with this, is they need to find out what is costing you from not getting the job. Then they need to work on it. It could be a simple thing as him just not interviewing well. There are people that do things that exemplify what the right things to do on the field, but when it comes to explaining it to somebody else and telling it in an interview, you may not do it as well. And some people will say, well, if you can't do that, how is he going to educate and teach people when he's on the football field? It's completely different, folks. It really is. You're talking in front of people, you're fighting for a position and an automatic raise, and on the field, it just comes natural to Eric. And I think that's what really has to be done here. You go ahead, you evaluate your interview, you call these people back and say, look, I understand and respect your decision to go another route when it came to head coaching position, but can you please tell me what I did not do that the other candidate did do, so next time I apply for a position, I will make sure to correct it and have a better chance at getting this job. There has to be something here, folks. It's happening too often and too many times where he's being left behind and not getting an opportunity. That's something these individuals that are interviewing him are seeing or are hearing or just don't like. And we got to find out. I don't think it's a personality thing because everyone I talk to likes Eric Bieniemy. Okay? I know back before the year 2000, Eric had a lot of problems, in his private life with the police officers and going to jail and being arrested and things like that. But that's over 20 years ago. I would really find it be hard to believe that something that happened over 20 years ago is keeping coaches from hiring this guy that really, really, really deserves an opportunity. And it just baffles me. It just baffles me that nobody is giving this guy an opportunity. And once again, our comments, folks, section is open. You can leave a comment no matter what platform you're on, and we will go ahead and try to get to it as soon as we can. Like I said, we got a packed full night. In about 7 minutes, we're going to have Jeff Chadiha, senior writer for NFL Media and on-air talent at NFL Network, joining us. And then after that, here on Frankly Speaking Sports, we're going to preview the game, the big game, the Super Bowl coming up this weekend between the Rams and the Bengals. So you definitely don't want to miss anything. Don't go away, folks, because we have a lot in store for you. But I'd love to get some feedback. If you're here watching the show, even if you're watching on the replay and you're not listening to it live, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you like the content we're talking about. Let us know if you agree, disagree. Remember, we always agree to disagree on this show. Obviously when people give opinions, everybody thinks their opinion is right. So let's respect that, and we'll talk things out and see. We're not trying to change opinions or change behaviors here. We're just trying to give you our opinions of the situations that are currently going on. But, when you go ahead, folks, in other news here before we get Jeff on, we're going to talk about Matt Rhule for a couple of minutes here. And, it's so easy for everybody here especially in the Charlotte area where we're coming to you live from, to really give this guy a lot of crap. Okay. In 2 years, he hasn't done this. He hasn't done that. Okay. Fair enough. But darn it, it's time to give credit where credit is due. Matt Rhule said and found out he needs a lot more NFL experience on his coaching staff. Hardly had any on his coaching staff. What does he do? He fills it with NFL experience. Listen to this. Special team coach, Chris Tabor, Ben McAdoo experience. They just got Steve Wilkes. He was the defensive pass coordinator and secondary coach in Arizona, and interim head coach for one game last year for the Arizona Cardinals. They got Paul Pasqualani, defensive line coach And then James Campton, who has been with the Packers for many, many, many years. When you talk about a coaching staff, folks, and I'll tell you what, this coaching staff was not good at the end of the year, but you have to give credit. They said, go out, get NFL experience. And what did he do? He went out, he got a bunch of NFL experience. And if they can just add an offensive line and a solid veteran quarterback or a franchise quarterback, this is a team that has an ability to very quickly turn things around in an NFC South that is falling apart after Tom Brady, retired. There's no clear winner next year that jumps out at you in the NFL South. So, we're looking at, it should be interesting, but let's give credit where credit is due. Matt Rhule has done a great job putting together. He still needs a wide receivers coach. That should be announced in the next few days. And then we get ready 2 months from now. The NFL draft will be coming up, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have senior writer for NFL Media and on-air talent for NFL Network, Jeff Chadiha, will be joining us live. Let's go ahead. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll be joined live in the studio by him.
Here at Tobacco Road Sports Radio, we ask the tough questions.
Hey, you got any left-handed footballs?
We're never afraid to tell you how we feel.
Come on, we look like the damn bad news bears.
We'll debate sports. We'll debate anything.
Man, you lying. You ain't never met Martin Luther King. Not the way out of me. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he did not.
No matter what, Tobacco Road Sports Radio has you covered.
I'm going to come right back at him. Soldier.
You're listening to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
You are watching Frankly Speaking Sports, live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank. So happy to have you with us today. We had a great first segment. We talked about Eric Bieniemy, and we'll talk a little bit more about him coming up. We also talked about the Panthers and their new coaching staff in North Carolina. And now, we get ready for the Super Bowl, folks. Super Bowl coming up this Sunday, 6:30 in the evening if you're on the East Coast. If you wear our special guest Jeff Chadiha is in California, I believe that's 3:30 California time. The Bengals and LA at SoFi Field. Let's go ahead, folks, and welcome in. Like I said, writer for NFL Media and on-air talent for NFL Network. Let's welcome in Jeff Chadiha. Jeff, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you doing, Larry?
I'm doing great. Thank you so very, very much for joining us this evening. I really do appreciate it. I know it's a busy week, and I know you're in LA, and I want to ask you this, Jeff, because last year, if you remember, same situation where the one of the teams were playing in their home stadium, the Buccaneers last year. But with the Buccaneers, it was a little different because if you remember correctly, we still are facing certain restrictions with fans in the stands at that game where they only allowed certain fans. And Tampa was buzzing, but it took about a week into it, in between the bye week, for it to get busy in Tampa. What is it like? What is the atmosphere? And are Bengals fans already showing up to LA?
Well, it's hard to get a feel for the atmosphere right now because it's LA and it's such a big city. It's so vast that, you feel as if the Super Bowl's here, but other cities, when it's here, by now you feel that vibe, you feel that energy about it. You see signs for it. I've only seen a couple signs for the Super Bowl here, so haven't seen many Bengals fans hanging around downtown. Maybe they're out in the on the beach somewhere enjoying the water. It's about 85 degrees here, so it's beautiful weather. But, it'll get ramped up here. The Rams actually train about an hour north of downtown, so you don't really see the same kind of energy from their fans. But trust me, by the time we get to Sunday, it's going to be very serious and very real around here.
When you look at this game, you've been there now for a little bit, talking to the players, talking to the coaches. So far up to this point, it's Wednesday evening. Has there been any surprises from either teams that have been announced throughout the week?
Only surprises have been coming from outside the teams. It seems like there's lawsuits and issues happening in Congress, and there's all types of news being made outside of the Super Bowl for the first time in a long time. Usually, it's all about the teams and the players, but no, I think the players and the coaches have been pretty much buttoned down. These are two very similarly coached teams. Obviously Zach Taylor worked for Sean McVay with the Rams back in 2017, 2018. They both have outstanding quarterbacks, outstanding receivers, good defenses. So I think both these teams realize the task at hand. The Rams were built for this. They spent a lot of money, invested a lot, took a lot of gambles to be in this game, and the Bengals came out of nowhere. So I feel like it's really just about what they've been doing all season long.
So heading into this weekend, everybody knows Joey Burroughs, the story behind him, Matthew Stafford, both had unbelievable years this year and led that team to the Super Bowl. What is the biggest storyline going into this weekend's game?
Well, it's the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow. It's Jamar Chase. It's this team that has continually defied the odds, going to Tennessee, having their quarterback sacked 9 times and getting a win there. Going to Kansas City, trailing by 18 points in the first half against a 2-time defending AFC champs with the best player in the league, Patrick Mahomes, on the other sideline and getting a win there. If they're able to go, obviously be 4 for 4, but going 3 for 3 as far as going on the road and getting upsets, that'd be a heck of a story. Now, I know the Rams have all the star power with Stafford and Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham, and Aaron Donald, those guys, but I just feel like the Bengals have a chance here to do something really special.
I look at this game, Jeff, and I know everybody talks about, it's no question that the team that wins is going to win in the trenches here. How well can these offensive lines go ahead and protect their quarterbacks versus these strong defensive lines of both teams? You got, Hendrickson on one side, you got Donald on the other with Von Miller and Floyd. So you got some opportunities there. But I really believe, and I want to get your opinion on this, Jeff, that this game, although both quarterbacks have been known to be, passing quarterbacks, but this game can come down to which team runs the football the best.
That's exactly right. And it's funny you talk about the trenches because the last few Super Bowls have been decided exactly by that. You go back to last year with Tampa Bay and Kansas City, and the Chiefs couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes. You go back 2 years before that, and they actually could protect him against the 49ers pass rush. But running the football in this kind of game, people don't talk about it enough, but you look at the Rams side of this, they had a 3-game losing streak with about 6 games to go, and they got back to being a more physical team. They got Sony Michel going. They got Cam Akers back in the offense, and that really got Matthew Stafford to settle down and stop turning the ball over so much. Their offense became a lot more efficient. And then Joe Mixon has really been an underrated weapon for the Bengals. Much as we talk about Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, all those guys, TJ Uzama, this guy ran for 1,200 yards. He's a heck of a receiver. He made some critical runs in that game 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs when they were really Chiefs were spending a lot of time devoting coverage to Jamar Chase. So he cashed in. And so, I think both those backs can do damage in this kind of – all 3 of those backs could do damage in this kind of a game.
You talk about the surprise of the Bengals this year. How realistic do you think it is that the Bengals can win this game?
I think it's very realistic. And I've seen this team multiple times throughout the course of the year. I saw them almost beat the Packers early on. I saw them play a snooze fest in Denver where I thought I needed about 18 Mountain Dews to get through it. They won the game 15-10. I saw them twice against the Chiefs. Their offense really took off. And so they can play multiple styles. And what's really – there's 2 things about this team that I've told people all year long who've doubted them. I said, 1, they're not going to rattle. No matter what you throw at them, no matter how bleak it looks, how ugly it gets, they're going to keep playing their game. And 2, they just have a belief in their quarterback that extends throughout the entire team, that the guys will make plays. It's not just, again, the receiver and the quarterback. This defense has 7 turnovers this postseason and critical situations, tone-setting plays. And so, again, that to me is a real factor in this game. Can they turn Matthew Stafford over and get the Rams to make the kind of mistakes other teams have been giving them throughout the playoffs?
Let's talk about Joey Burroughs a minute. He gets hurt last year, second year. Talk about how impressed you are. He's a second-year player who missed half the year last year. Talk about his demeanor and leadership, that he has just all of a sudden changed his Bengals team from a losing team to a winning team.
Well, I was talking to some people earlier today on a radio show, and they said he gets compared a lot to Joe Namath. And I said, well, he hasn't predicted a win in this game yet. So when he does that, that's when I'll start making that comparison. But I think he's a lot more like Joe Montana, a guy who never really rattled, who didn't have great athletic ability, but he had savvy and an IQ, and he knew how to make the plays when he had to make them. And Joe Burrows got that kind of magic to him. And, there's a lot to be said about his story, but you look at how he started out, humble beginnings in Southern Ohio, not getting a chance to play at Ohio State, going to LSU, winning a national championship there. Everywhere he's been, he's had the same approach, that it's somehow, some way he's going to figure it out. And that approach is extended to the rest of this team. Again, that belief, that swagger he brought to this franchise can't be understated, because this is a franchise that when his postseason began, they had won a playoff game in 30 years, 30-plus years. They had won a playoff game on the road ever. And so all those things are happening because he's their quarterback.
We're talking to Jeff Chadiha, senior writer for NFL Media and on-air talent for NFL Network. Before we talk about Matthew Stafford, I want to ask you this question. Special teams, as always in the Super Bowl, plays a big role. You got on one side 2 kickers that are actually really playing well right now. You got Evan McPherson, who's, what can you say about this kid? Is just unbelievable. And then Matt Gay, who has a lot to prove, because you remember first year was in Tampa Bay. He got cut, didn't have a great year. I'm sure he'd like to add a Super Bowl ring to his, to his trophy case. Who has is it safe to say Evan McPherson has the upper hand here if the game should go down to a field goal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's had a number of game-winning kicks. I mentioned that Green Bay game earlier in the year. Ironically, they lost that game because he missed a kick in overtime. And I think he's only missed 2 kicks since then out of some 37 attempts. I mean, no rookie has scored as many points kicker in the postseason as he has. He had the game-winning kick against Kansas City, game-winning kick against Tennessee. This guy lives for those kind of moments, and he's been – when you have that kind of kicker, it's not just a luxury, it's a weapon, and they use them as such. When they get in a situation where they cross the 50-yard line, they know if they get to the 35, they're getting 3 points somehow. So I think he's definitely giving them an edge that in this game is going to be huge.
Let's talk about Matthew Stafford a little bit. Playing all those years in Detroit, losing year after year after year. Not only has it been satisfying for him, but what an incredible year he has had in L.A. Could L.A. have expected anything more from this guy?
I think they want one more thing from him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they want one more thing for sure. But he's been everything that's been advertised. And I'm from Michigan. I know the story of Matthew Stafford. I know the ups and downs he had with the Lions, but I never doubted his talent for once. And you see that talent come out in this kind of offense with this kind of head coach, these kind of weapons around him. Again, I think he's had some turnovers where he's tried to force things and try to do too much. But once they got back to running the football, letting him work off play action, they've been deadly. And at one point, this guy was talked about as a legitimate MVP candidate in the first half of the season. He's played lights out the last couple of weeks in the playoffs. He's more conservative that first weekend against Arizona. But, again, they wouldn't be here without him. And it's once we talk about Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and all these guys with great arm talent, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford is as talented as any quarterback in the NFL, and now he's getting a chance to show it on a huge stage.
Yeah, definitely, and in his home stadium. So, yep. I mean, a lot going for Matthew. When you look at these receiver cores on both teams, you mentioned Zuma at tight end, but when you take Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, and then on the other side you take Odell Beckham, let's not forget Van Jefferson, who I really think could be the secret weapon this weekend because they're going to be double teaming Kupp. You know that. Do these offenses, are they pretty evenly matched at the wide receiver position?
Oh, they are. They are. I mean, I think a lot of people would tell you that the Bengals have arguably the best skill possession players in the AFC. That the Rams on the other side are in the same boat. I mean, they are loaded. And you're right that when you have those kind of weapons at receiver, it really puts the defense on its heels, because if you do want to devote that much time and effort to trying to stop the Cooper Kupps, the Jamar Chases, well, you're going to have one-on-one matchups in other places. And you have quarterbacks who can identify those matchups and can take advantage of those matchups. And that's what, you talk about the Bengals with their offensive line problems. It makes it a lot easier for Joe Burrow. He knows he's got one-on-one matchups with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. Same thing is true for Matthew Stafford. A lot of people scoffed at the signing of Odell Beckham and thought he was done when he came over from Cleveland. They got rid of him, but he's been lights out the last couple of months. He's proven that he's got a lot left. And when you're asking him to play in that role as the second option, sometimes the third option, he can kill you.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Zach Taylor being a disciple of Murray. Of McVay, of Sean McVay. Talk about Zach Taylor and what he's done, and what is it about Zach Taylor that got this team clicking? And let's say it comes down to a coaching decision. Does the pupil know the teacher better, or does the teacher know the pupil better?
That's a great question. I think it helps Zach Taylor that he's been in those meeting rooms. He knows a good amount of those players on the Rams offense. Cooper Kupp was there, obviously, when he was there, and Van Jefferson. So he knows what they want to do. But, yeah, I think Zach Taylor has, should be in the conversation for head coach of the year. I think Mike Vrabel will get that because of what he went through. But Zach Taylor's got the same kind of approach to coaching that Sean McVay has. And you see with Matt LaFleur, all these guys, they just know how to reach players. They know how to motivate players. They're not, I'm not going to say they're not pushovers. They're not just letting guys walk through them, but they're very organized, very structured, and they're great communicators. It says a lot about Zach Taylor that he still talks a lot to guys like Andrew Whitworth with the Rams and other players who he coached, because he believes in the value of those bonds. And you watch the Bengals play, you can see that they believe in him. They trust him, and they know that he has their backs, which in the NFL means everything if you want to try to get to the place they've gotten to.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let me ask you this for both teams. What, in your opinion, what is the keys for each team in order to prevail in this game?
Well, for the Rams, it's simple. They have to get after Joe Burrow, and they have to get after him early and often. I know the Titans sacked him 9 times, and the Bengals still won, but this is the kind of game where you're paying Aaron Donald all this money. You brought in Von Miller to play in this game. You have to rattle Joe Burrow some kind of way, which is not easy to do. They can do that. I think the other things will work themselves out for them. They'll score points and do all that stuff, but getting to Joe Burrow is key for the Rams. The flip side of it, the Bengals are going to have to get turnovers. They've been able to do that throughout the course of the postseason, as I said. Go back to that Tennessee game. They picked off Ryan Tannehill in the first play of the game. They got him twice more. They got Patrick Mahomes twice in the second half. They get turnovers that change the complexion of games. Not just, hey, we got a forced fumble here or a pick here. Those plays that they've gotten have changed the game. And so they got to have those kind of plays happen again to win this.
I'm going to wait till the end to get your prediction, but there's some questions I want to ask you not related to the Super Bowl, because I know you're an expert in this field and you've been hearing a lot of different things. And I want to start out with, and I can't understand it for the life of me, is why the heck isn't Eric Bieniemy a head coach yet? I look around, and at first, we could say whatever we want to, make whatever excuse, but when you're interviewing 3, 4, 5 times year after year, there's got to be something there that when he's interviewing, they're seeing. And I don't know if they're giving him the feedback or not, but, everyone that I talk to thinks he deserves a shot at being a head coach. What do you think is holding him back from being named a head coach in the National Football League?
Well, I've known Eric Bieniemy for a long time, since I was in college. Really, I've known him over 3 decades, and he's a natural leader. He's a great communicator. He inspires the people he coaches. For some reason, that's not coming through to the people who are making these decisions. And I don't know if that's because of the interview process. I think I heard the first go around, he needed to be better at analytics. That was something that he wasn't that strong at, which is a big thing owners love to hear these days. But overall, I just think the more you go through this process, the better you have to be in the interview. The more you have to prove yourself, because you get to a place where he's at now. You've done this for 4 off seasons in a row. Now people are coming in and wondering what's wrong with you. And now people are wondering, why aren't other people hiring you? And so you have to overcome that as well. And it's just, look, I think some of this is just the flavor of the month right now is the Sean McVay lookalike type guys. A lot of young 30s guys in their late 30s, early 40s, offensive wizards, gurus who are associated with him. That's what teams like right now. And if you're trying to get a quarterback going, that's where teams are going. For whatever reason, Eric Bieniemy's he's getting slighted in some way for not calling plays in Kansas City. The guys like Daniel Hackett in Green Bay didn't call plays. Guys like Kevin O'Connell in the Rams didn't call plays, and those guys have jobs now. So I don't really understand what it is either, but I know that the one thing I do believe is that once you get to this place, you've done it 4 times, 4 off seasons, chances of you getting a shot are pretty slim.
And Jeff, just to piggyback off what you're saying, if it is the interview process, let's just say for argument's sake it is, shouldn't somebody like an Andy Reid, who is his mentor, or somebody say, let's sit down, let's get feedback from these interviews and find out why the decision was made to hire someone else besides you? What did these guys have that you did not have, or what did they say that you did not like, that you did not say? Shouldn't Andy Reid, and maybe I'm picking on Andy Reid, but shouldn't he be helping him through this process?
No, I totally agree with that. And I've said this before, that sometimes head coaches can be some of the biggest roadblocks to guys getting hired, because some coaches don't like their assistant coaches talking that much to the media. I think you look at Dallas, for example. How many times do you see Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn on the sidelines or in the coaching box calling plays, broadcasters talking about what they're doing and changing? They get so much credit because they get so much exposure. Eric Bieniemy doesn't have those same opportunities, but you're right. I think that if you're Andy Reid, you should be going through back channels and saying, why isn't my guy getting this? What is he not good at? Where can he improve? Sometimes I feel like the guys who've been under Sean McVay, the Zach Taylors, the O'Connells, the Matt LaFleur's, I think because he's younger and he's been through the process more recently, he may have a better feel for what owners want to hear. He may have a better feel for what sells well in an interview process. So that's a great point you're making.
Now, who do you think this offseason, with all the coaching changes that we had, what was the best hire and by which team?
I think Brian Daboll will do a pretty good job with the Giants. They've had a rough go here. They've had 3 coaches in the last 6 years. All have bombed. I have a great respect for what he did with Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills, a quarterback who was completing 50% of his passes as a rookie, who became an MVP candidate last year and an all-pro, Pro Bowl player. I think he can – if there's somebody who can fix Daniel Jones, he's the guy. And then you have the weapons that they've gone out and spent money on in free agency with a receiver. They got Saquon Barkley still. And they brought in Wink Martindale from the Ravens to run the defense. And so I think he's put together a pretty good coaching staff. He got Mike Kafka off the Chiefs quarterback coach to be his offensive coordinator. So he's making some good moves. He's got some talent to work with.
And talking about new coaches, locally here, the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rhule said you didn't have enough experience hiring coaches in the NFL. All your coaches were from outside the NFL. You need NFL experience. Well, darn it, it looks like he's done a pretty darn good job this offseason getting that point across, and he's hired some pretty good coaches. Is this a team, if they get a good offensive line, get some people in the free agency or the draft and a solid quarterback that can contend for the NFC South now that Tom Brady isn't in the NFC South?
Yeah, well, getting the quarterback is always a chore for some franchises, more so than others. So that's a good place to start. I like the Panthers started last year. I mean, they started fast. Their defense is they got a lot of talent over there. They've made some good investments. I think obviously you got Christian McCaffrey, you got Robbie Anderson, you've got some players who can make plays on that offense. But yeah, the quarterback situation has to get figured out. If they can do that, yeah, Drew Brees is gone. Tom Brady is gone. Matt Ryan in Atlanta, they're trying to figure out what they're going to be. Matt Ryan's on his last legs there. He might be gone after this year. So, yeah, it's certainly the door is wide open for anybody who wants to take it. And to be honest with you, it could be a lot like the NFC East, where you've got just a chance to win the division just because everybody else is so bad.
Yeah. Going to ask you one more question before I ask you your prediction on this game Sunday. And I want to first give the facts behind my question because I don't want you to think I'm crazy here. Okay. Ben McAdoo is the new offensive coordinator for the Panthers here in Charlotte. Okay. Has a lot of experience as a quarterback coach, as you know, with the Green Bay Packers. James Campen is now the new offensive line coach for the Carolina Panthers. Has lots of experience with the Green Bay Packers. Is there any chance, and you know what, that Aaron Rodgers could think about coming to Carolina?
That would be, if you're making a list, they probably wouldn't be that high up on it, given what Denver has done in hiring Nathaniel Hackett, trading Von Miller, getting some picks there, having a bunch of salary cap space. I think Denver's in the best position, and it's hard to see him winding up in the NFC. I don't think if he does get traded, the Green Bay Packers are going to be happy about seeing him anywhere near a postseason with anybody in the NFC. So I think he's going to end up going to the other conference, and I suspect that place is, the most obvious option would be Pittsburgh. It would be Denver. I think Denver's going to end up winning out.
All right, now we get to the moment we've been waiting for, Jeff. Your prediction on the Super Bowl this Sunday.
I'm thinking Bengals. I think it's going to be a really close game because they play close games. Everybody's been playing close games in the postseason. So that's not going to change at this stage. I think it's going to be a field goal game. I can see Evan McPherson winning it. I like Bengals 31-30. And I just think Joe Burrow ends up being the MVP because he'll make more plays and he won't turn the ball over as much as Matthew Stafford will in this game.
Bonus question. Has this been the best after the wild card series? Has this been the best playoff rounds you've seen in NFL history?
Oh yeah. Not even close. I mean, the wild card round was very disappointing, and it almost made me think you need to go back to 6 playoff teams because some of those teams, like the Steelers, Eagles, probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs. But once we got down to the real contenders, it's been lights out. And so I've been impressed. I've never seen this many good games. To have 6 good games over the course of 2 weeks, 6 great games. Never seen it before in the NFL. Yeah,
and you're right. It's been great. All right, Jeff. Well, look, enjoy yourself there in LA. And we want to thank you from Frankly Speaking Sports so very much for taking time. I know you got a busy schedule there and coming on the show tonight.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you having me.
All right. Stay safe.
You too.
All right. That was Jeff Chadiha. He is senior writer for NFL Media and on-air talent for the NFL Network. Let's go ahead, take a break, and when we come back, it's Frankly Speaking Sports Super Bowl preview. We'll be back right after this message.
Tobacco Road Sports Radio is so excited to be your home for Triad Sports.
I'm so excited! I'm so excited!
We heard you loud and clear. Our mission is to give you what you want.
You know what I want. I've been asking for it for years. Give it to me. Give me what I want.
The best sports talk and live sports in the Triad, period.
What's up, everybody? Live with Brandon Blake.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Score once again with Brett Wiseman.
Hello and welcome back to the Pit Stop here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Franchise Players, your home for Triad Sports coverage. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
And if you think that's great, wait until you see what's next.
It's going to be good. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
Tune in at TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. And don't forget to download the new Roku channel, Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank, and what a great show we have had so far. What a great interview, folks, we had with Jeff Chadiha. Just great information. You know, if you want to go back and watch that interview, we will be putting it on Instagram later on, just the video of the interview with Jeff. So go ahead, join us. You can watch that interview tonight. That'll be on probably about 11 o'clock. It'll be downloaded to Instagram. You can go to Larry Frank 528. That is my Instagram channel, and it'll have all the interviews that we've done so far this week on Frankly Speaking Sports. Also, you can go to our Roku channel, download Northeast Streaming Sports, go to Frankly Speaking Sports, and you'll see all of our interviews as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now the moment you've been waiting for, Super Bowl preview. Frankly Speaking Sports version of it. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great game. I don't think there's any question. I really would be surprised if this game in any way, shape, or form, that had a little problem there, but turns out to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a really close game. And when you look at both sides, folks, both sides, let's start out with, you got Joey Burroughs on one side. So far this year, if you include the playoffs, Joey has thrown for 5,400 yards, 38 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. On the other side, you got Matthew Stafford, who has thrown for 5,200 yards, 47 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions. These are quarterbacks that do not make a lot of mistakes. They may average one interception a game, and this is going to come down to a turnover that is going to win this game, whether it's won by a touchdown or by a field goal by Matt Gay or Evan McPherson. It's going to be a turnover that creates it. Which team is going to make the first mistake in this game or the big mistake in this game? When you look at the receivers, as we talked to Jeff Chadiha about, you got Jamar Chase, Ty Higgins, Tyler Boyd on one side with C.J. Azuma. But it doesn't get weaker on the other side because the Rams got Cooper Kupp, who has over 2,300 yards, 20 touchdowns this year receiving. They got Odell Beckham Jr., who they thought it was just a storybook thing that they were doing, bringing him to L.A. Well, guess what? The joke's on you folks. He's having an unbelievable playoffs, had an unbelievable game last week, and he is for real and just about to win a Super Bowl. Then you got, let's not forget, we don't know if Higbee's going to be in there or Blanton, but Blanton showed he can play real well. And let's not forget Van Jefferson, who I think could be a secret weapon in this game because they're going to be keying on Beckham. They're going to be keying on Cooper. Watch out for Van Jefferson. You heard that here on Frankly Speaking Sports. And you look at the defensive side, folks. Oh, my goodness. You got Trey Hendrickson, who can help sack for the Bengals on the defensive side. And then you got Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, just a bunch of great pass rushes. The problem in these teams is the secondary. How is Jalen Ramsey going to hold up versus Joey Burroughs? And I really think that Burroughs could tear that secondary apart if he has time. Now, Jeff talked about him being sacked 9 times versus the Titans, but last week versus the Chiefs, he was only sacked once. So a great job coming back for this Bengals team doing that. But that game, like I said earlier, it's going to be one in the trenches, but watch out for the running game. And people say, well, why do you put so much emphasis on these two teams who don't run the ball a lot? And you're putting a lot of emphasis on that one in the game. Well, let me explain why that wins the game. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, who just had an incredible week with third down conversions versus the Chiefs, as they were 8 for 14 on third down, and they sacked the Chiefs 4 times. But when you go ahead and you are on the field, that defense on the other side is getting tired. And what Joey Burrows needs to do is he needs to wear down that defensive line. And how do you wear them down? You get your third down conversions. You keep them on the playing field so they get tired, exhausted, and they start making mistakes. They're not effective as they would be if they're sitting on the sidelines because their team is executing third down. The Rams, you talk about executing third downs, versus the 49ers, they were 11 of 18 and held the 49ers to only 3 third down plays out of 9 attempts last week. So, by the Bengals or the Rams, the time of possession's going to play a big factor in this game. And the way to do that is by running the ball effectively because the clock keeps moving when you run the ball and stay in bounds. So, you want to go ahead and be effective. Mixon is a great dual back, as is Akers, but Mixon had 88 yards last week. He has, he scored plenty of times, I think 13 touchdowns this year. So this is going to be an unbelievable game. Like we said, Burroughs 9 sacks versus the Titans, but 1 sack versus the Chiefs. The Bengals sacked Mahomes 4 times last week. So you're talking about the upfront 3 or 4 of each team is very solid. It's after that first level, what happens in this game. The Bengals, if they're going to win, they got to force this team in LA to turn over the ball. You saw a couple of weeks ago versus the Buccaneers when they had the big lead. They let the Buccaneers get back in that game before winning it on a Matt Gay field goal. Akers turned over the ball once. Cooper turned over the ball once. That can't happen in a game like this versus a team like this if you expect to win. It just cannot happen. Mahomes also threw 2 interceptions last week. So he could, you put a lot of pressure on him, you will have the opportunity for him to make mistakes. Pressuring Mahomes will be a key in this game. Joe Mixon, like I said, has, including the playoffs, has 1,400 yards rushing, and 14 touchdowns. I forgot one. So 14 touchdowns. But this is a game, like I said, folks, it's going to be a great game. And we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We're going to open it up for comments. No matter what platform you're listening on, go ahead, leave a comment. And let's go ahead and see, what we can get. We start off with a Facebook user. And we mentioned this with Jeff earlier. The field goal kickers may play a huge role. What do you think? Who do you think has the advantage in the kicking game? And Jeff hit it right on the nose, as I expected he will. Evan McPherson is incredible. Okay. I cannot think of a better word to describe him. He reminds me a lot of Adam Vinatieri as far as making those clutch kicks. Adam Vinatieri, the great kicker for the New England Patriots during all those Super Bowl wins. And, Evan McPherson will deliver. If you have to put a guy to win the Super Bowl on the line, Evan McPherson is definitely it. But when you look at the other side, and I'm looking it up right now on let me see if I can find it on my handy-dandy phone here. I want to see what Matt Gay's total statistics are. Here it is. I got it right here, folks. Let's go to Matt Gay on the year. I guess this is in the playoffs. Matt Gay is 7 of 9. He's 9 for 9 on extra points, 7 of 9 field goals. If we switch over to Cincinnati here, let me see if I could find our good friend McPherson is 12 of 12 on field goals, 4 of 4 on extra points. He is 3 for 3 from 50 yards plus. To answer your question, I think I just did, but I will say definitely Evan McPherson. Both of them are having decent years, but Evan McPherson comes down to a field goal. This game will be won by the Cincinnati Bengals. So thank you so much for leaving that comment. We'd like to get a little bit more. So go ahead and leave a couple comments, and we'll get to them like we just got to that one. But this is a game. It is played in L.A. They do have the home crowd on their side. We did a show yesterday on tickets and stuff, and we don't want to go ahead and get back into that. But when you go ahead and you look at this game, folks, two great coaches. I cannot believe the job Zach Taylor has done in 1 year with this team. Great coach. And you're right. You know, he mentioned it earlier. A great coach, Jeff Chadiha did, talking about all of Sean McVay's people getting a head coaching job. That is what a head coach is supposed to do, or the leader on the team. His job is to develop, promote, and train people. Promote, train. Andy Reid, are you listening? Eric Bieniemy needs a head coaching job. You need to promote, develop, train. Okay? Definitely deserves a job. But this is what Sean McVay does well. And when you take a look at this game, you know, when we asked Jeff, who has the upper edge here? The student may know the coach a little bit better than the coach knows the student. So if it comes down to a coaching decision, should be pretty interesting in the game. You know, we talked about Cam Akers, 2 turnovers. Cam Akers cannot turn the ball over in this game, folks. You know, they got Akers, they got Sonny Michael. I don't think they use Sonny Michel, however you pronounce his name, well as they should. You know, Sonny had a big part in the Super Bowl wins for the New England Patriots, and he can be a very good weapon in this game too. But there's always one Super Bowl. There's every Super Bowl, there's always one person that shines above the rest that you don't expect. Who could it be in this game? I honestly think Van Jefferson could play a major role, and Joe Mixon are the two guys that I would say look out for Cincinnati. When you go over to the other side, Sonny Michel could be the one that surprises people if he gets the opportunity. And I said, of course, Van Jefferson. So those are the people that I would say watch out for, but there's always somebody, folks. You know, let's not forget Blanton, who came in when the tight end got injured for LA last week and had an incredible game too. What kind of role is he going to play if he is called on? So much can happen. A Super Bowl makes you. It's incredible what one game like this can do for the rest of your life. And we've seen it happen over and over and over again in the NFL. You know, this year, folks, you wanted it, you got it. 2 different teams. The Chiefs aren't in it. The Bucks aren't in it. But the game, like I said, is played in LA, and it's a 3:30 start in LA. So the people there in LA are going to have not just time before, but they're going to have a lot of celebrating to do after the game as well there with the time difference. But this is going to be a close game. People ask me, Larry, who do you think? Break it down. Who do you think's going to win this game? Well, folks, if it's a close game, the Bengals are going to win. Well, like I said, Evan McPherson is just incredible. I am so impressed also with Joey Burroughs and what Joey has done over the year and a half that he's been on the field. I know half the year he was off with his messed up knee, but this is a kid that does not know how to lose. He doesn't believe in losing. And like Jeff Chadiha said earlier, he doesn't let anything bother him. It goes out there, he makes a mistake, no big deal. I'll come back, and he forgets it. It's amazing how quickly he can throw that play out and come back like it never happened. And that's a skill that you don't teach. That's inside him. But I like Joey Burroughs. I think Matthew Stafford has done a great job. But I really think that Burroughs can really tear that secondary of LA apart. Like I said, it's coming down to the trenches, folks. I mentioned some keys about the running game and some main things that have to happen, but this game, like all Super Bowls, will be played in the trenches. Which offensive line is going to hold up the other one? And like I said earlier, a lot of that is going to get down to which team's defense is on the field longer. The team that's defense is on the field longer has less of an opportunity to play as well as the team that is not on the field. because they won't be as tired. Let's take a quick break, folks, and we'll be back right after this message.
We love sports.
Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that's the new boy that got Mike Tyson? Look like a bulldog. He bad in him too. He done whipped Mike Tyson there. He whipped all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something wonderful. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the triad.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old he was, but got it ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank, and what a great show we've had for you this Wednesday night. It's just been incredible. I know a lot of you will be listening on Tobacco Road sportsradio.com tomorrow at 11 a.m. You can listen to this show in its entirety. But we want to also remind you folks, we are on several different platforms. We are on Roku TV. Go to Roku TV, download Northeast Streaming Sports, and not only do you get Frankly Speaking Sports on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, all throughout the week, you get a bunch of terrific, great, informative sports shows on Northeast Streaming Sports. So go ahead and do that. Also, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. That's TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Not only do they put me on at 11 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but they have a great slew of shows that come on all throughout the day, and they do live sports such as basketball right now going on. So tune in to Tobacco Road Sports Radio, go to the menu, and see what you'll enjoy on it. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're all over the place. We're on SportsWire radio as well. So there's a lot of different platforms to catch us. Super Bowl's coming up Sunday. Monday night, we recap the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl will be over. We'll recap it, and we'll try to get individuals on from the sports world to go ahead and give their commentary on what they saw during the game. On behalf of all of us here at Frankly Speaking Sports, we want to thank you very, very much for joining us. We want to thank Jeff Chadiha for joining us as well. And enjoy the Super Bowl, and good night.